document the addition of this tower former here. So I've already cut out a few triangles that are forming the cone of the tower top. I just want to cut out a few more. Just a little one. I'll be on for a short while. Like I say, I just wanted to quickly come on and document doing this so it didn't look like I was magicking it into existence next time. So what I've done is just cut out a few formers, and I've got a couple small ones now that I just need to space in amongst. So just off camera because you can't quite pan down, I'm just cutting some more smaller right angle triangles to fit in those gaps there. I'm just run a seam of glue across the bits, and then I'm just going to go around in all the quadrants and glue another piece in. These just have to be a little bit smaller than the other ones, so I'm just going to cut a little bit off. Like I say, I have to do that off camera because I can't pan the camera down small enough for that. It's, far away enough. Hello everyone, how are we all doing? Basically on the computer, load of these, they slot together, but only one. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking those slots down all the way and just cutting them in half, just so I've got some smaller pieces to work with. I've already done that. I don't know, is it on camera? Can we see it? Yes, you can. I've already done that here with the bigger tower. So, like I say, just cutting some smaller pieces down. Hello, Yaya. How are you doing? I'll just pan down a little bit just so you can see what I'm doing. So these smaller triangles, I'll just let you in, Pippin. I'm cutting down. And just one more to do. Good evening, Georgia. How are you? So you've not missed a lot the last few days. I've just not done anything. Had a bit of a break. So I'll come back up to the top of the tower now. I'm going to carry on around there with these formers. This is because I want to wrap a cone shape around the top, but I need something for it to stick to. tower. If you haven't already, please go check out my YouTube. I just posted a new video, the tutorial on how I created the thatched roof on the last commission. It's quite a long watch, about 20 minutes. If you want to go check it out, if you've got nothing better to do tonight, I would really appreciate your support. I'm going to have to leave in about half an hour or so. It's that time of the night when I have to be a taxi again. I'll be happy when his girlfriend gets a not driving licence, because she's already got one of those. She passed the driving test this week. She's just waiting for a car now. I think just one more and that's about enough. I haven't put an equal amount. I've got one left, so I might as well just fit it in. Where's the biggest gap? There isn't really one. I'll just slot it in there. You see what I'm doing? I'm sorry if I'm missing any comments. I'm just behind. The camera's behind my viewpoint, so I can't really see tonight. Alright, so that's the form in place. Now what I've done is created a cone shape out of some card here. I found an online cone generator. Basically you put your dimensions in and it will create a PDF or SVG file that you can then use to either print out and cut around, or in my case I've just used it to create a laser cut file. But it's pretty much the cone shape that I want there. Now you definitely need a curved edge to be able to get the curve around the building, otherwise it doesn't follow properly. So what I'm going to do now is glue that cone onto the former. It's going to require a lot of glue. I'm not going to do it all in one. I'm just going to make sure it's stuck first. So I'll put a little bit of glue on to start off with. I want the seam to be round the back, so we'll start about there. So I'm just going to make sure it sticks on first, and then we can fine tune from there. So it was actually a better fit before I put glue on. After this I'm going to tile it, so if there's any kind of slight discrepancy on, that'll be covered by the tiling. Right, we have a stick, so now I just need to go around and solidify it. So I'll just make sure there's plenty of glue smeared over the rest of the formers here. And we'll just go around. I've actually just created a smear of glue. This is why I don't like the thinner stuff, because it does run. I don't like it when it runs. I'm going to end up with fit all over my thumbs. I just need to catch the piece around the back where it wraps over. like I said, I've got completely no fingerprints left. I'm just going to put a little bit of tape around there. Whoops, didn't catch. Just going to put a little bit of tape around to persuade it to stay put. Right, there we go. It's a little bit scrappy at the moment, but I assure you that'll look better once it's covered with tiles. And same again, I've got a slightly bigger cone. Now, I had some problems with getting the geometry right on this, so it's not quite right. So we'll just have to do a bit of overfolding. I've got all the formers ready in place. I just need to go around and glue it. Again, I'm going to have to make sure that the join is sort of around the back, but again it's going to be hidden by tiles, so I'm not really going to notice that. And I'm going to attack this in a slightly different way this time. I'm going to try and stick the cone together in one that I can then just put on. It's always a slight learning curve when you do this, because it's a very much an ad hoc modelling journey, and every time you do something you find a better way of doing it. So that cone is going to sit quite nicely there. Those little gaps will be hidden by tiling. It's actually a much better fix. So now I've got that stuck, I'll just finish the stick off with some more super glue. This is one of those cases where it does actually set quite quick. He says, completely fibbing because it's not doing. Just going to lay that down and together. No, I'm not going to stick it to the table. Why not? Let's stick it to the table instead. Right, there we go. Again, like the other side, I'm just going to persuade it to stick better with a bit of masking tape until it solidifies. It won't matter if it sticks on, because I'll be covering it. Nice conical roof for the turret. What I can do now is just apply some glue to all the formers. Oops, there's a bit of loose tiling there. There we go. I'm sorry, I was just trying to read what you were saying there, as long as it's not directed at me. I'm missing anything. Now, as you can see there, I've made a start on the so far, but then I got tired and stopped. What time are we on? 9:20. I think I've got time to do a little bit more tiling. Wait for those conical pieces to fully set. I just add a few more strips of tile, I think. It's taking a long time to do this because there are lots of rows of tiling on this roof elevation. I've ruined quite a lot of these with the fact that they're so small and flimsy. They tend to curl up on themselves when when you peel it off. Perfect example. It's just stuck to itself. So I'm just peeling off the backing like that. Like I say, it's because I'm peeling it off and it's quite long, it has a natural tendency to curl back on itself and then stick to itself. But these are plenty long enough to cover the entire roof length, so I can start and leave a little gap at the end, a little bit of overlap at the end, because I can cut that off. And I'm loosely following the grid, but I'm just more concerned about getting the tiles to run straight over the top of each other. The grid on the graph paper though is just to help me try and keep a straightish line. So at either end I'll just trim. At this side I'm trimming in a slight curve to follow the flashing on the edge of the tower there, and at this side I'll just cut flush. And by the way that cut, I think it's time for a sharper scalpel blade. Bit of tightening, a hazard of the job. I've got a bit of super glue stuck there as well, so it's to stick even better. So tiling this roof is going to take a momentous amount of time. I've only got one bit of roof sorted so far, so it's going to be a long journey. I've already taken it off twice because I wasn't happy with it. Just make sure it overlaps neatly, and that's ripped. That's one thing that tends to happen as well, they tend to rip. And I want to stick that back where it came from to make sure everything carries on overlapping in the right place. Although ironically I'm going to end up cutting this back off again because this is where the window is. Okay, and again, just cut around where the flashing is. We're going to have a nice shape there. What I'm going to do is as I go up, I'll just cut off this bit here because that's where the tiles run to. I'll probably have to repaint this black because I've peeled quite a few layers of timing off it. I've got the same to do on this section as well. These will have to be fine-tuned. I'm just trimming them off to give me an idea of where they go. Little boat-like. might come back on tonight, I don't know. I'm picking my son up at 10:30. I'll be back home for about 11. So it depends how tired I feel. Does that mean you're popping off for a while? I've been really, really tired this week. I just haven't felt up to, that's ripped. I just haven't felt up to streaming. I've done a little bit of work offline, but I want to try and document as much of this as I can. So that's why I'm filming this little bit now. But so I've done a little bit offline because I just I couldn't sit doing nothing, but I just didn't feel really much like I had the energy to work properly. Hello, Grace. I'm reading this upside down, strangely enough. Really feels like the trip down to Devon last weekend really floored me. I just haven't had much energy since I've come back. My fingers are covered in super glue and stickers. So, all fingers. No, it's not. Who said that? I'm sorry, I can't read. Oh, yeah. One thing, you on the side, which is my fault because I've got it filming on the side, and two, you're kind of upside down, so I can't read you. So that's why I'm not able to keep up with the conversation. You're back to front and the other way around. It's ripping. Too many rippings going on. I was trying to do this the other night, and I set off, was it Monday night? I might have done some Monday night. I did some tiling Monday night. I took it all back off again. I've started again 3 times now. But that's what happens with roofs. If you've been watching me for a long time, that's what happens with roofs. It's kind of a trademark. It never the first time. That by going right is just means it's not right by my standards. I just have to redo it. But thankfully it wasn't a whole roof that I was starting again. I'd only done like 4 or 5 rows. It just wasn't going right. And a lot of this was happening. It's sort of folding in on itself because it's so thin. Salvage that one of it hasn't stuck down. No, it's stuck down. No, it just keeps folding in on itself. Try a new piece. They make really effective roofing tiles here, but they're very tricky to work with. I'm not having much fun peeling them off. Each time it's ripping. I'm not going to get frustrated. Hi Sarah, is it Sarah? I think it's Sarah. Time wheel. still okay for a little while. I've not got the best angle here, the camera's right behind my arm and my legs underneath you, so you can't see it. It's at this point where it starts to curl back on itself that's frustrating. I purposely overlapped here because it wasn't sticking all right, so I just need to take this one off. This is the most awkward roof bit that I'm doing because it's got all the dormers and the tower to run up to, so it's not just a matter of gluing lots and lots of straight pieces on, there's lots of bits to cut out and run up to. I'm going to tile this bit first and then I'm going to stick the dormers in. I'm sorry, I can't see what you're saying, Chris. Right guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut this short tonight. I thought I was doing well, but I'm really fatigued. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna end up making more messes than not. So, and hopefully be a bit fresher tomorrow. Have yourselves a wonderful Friday night, and I'll speak to you all soon. Hello Yaya, how are you doing? Hello everyone else. I'm going to do a bit more roof tiling tonight for a short while before I have to go out and be a taxi again. Seems to be the story of my life at the moment. I've had a very lazy day today. I've been very, very tired, so I've not done anything. But I have sat here for the last hour and just potted away for a bit. Got a bit more tiling done since you last saw me. I've had to recut all my tile strips because I figured out that part of the reason I was struggling with it is that I hadn't got the cut power on high enough on the laser, so they weren't separating as well as they should, and that was the ripping and tearing as I was lifting them out. So it's also eliminated, or sort of not eliminated, but lessened the curling effect. Talking of tricky, I'm now just trying to blend these tiles around the top of the tower. Now I've taken the turret off for now that I put on last night because it was proving tricky to get my row of tiles behind it. So, like I said, I've just left it off for now. I've lifted it off, I've gently separated it from the formers. So I'm going to wait until I've finished tiling, and then I'll probably have a go at actually sticking the tiles on before I put the cone on, if you see what I mean. That might be an easier way of doing it, rather than trying to follow it round on a piece that's already there. I'm just gluing some excess tiles onto this piece of card here. That's going to be part of the area around here. Good evening, Kat, how are you doing? I'm just going to come back around here now, and I'm going to try and peel off 2 rows of tiles from what I've already put down. To get the section in here, I don't know if you can see properly, but to get the section in behind the turret, pre-make a batch of tiles that I can cut around, but it's proving tricky to get to. I think I'm going to end up overlapping them. I think that might be my way around, because it's refusing to peel off now. It's one of those moments where you figured out a better way of doing it in hindsight. Now I've not got enough room on my bench like I was struggling with last night, but I'm just going to be slowly cutting out some more roof tile pieces and then sticking them on. I've only a few more rows to do now on this first elevation, and then I've got a whole other side to do. But I've had to throw away all the tiles that I cut previously because they just weren't cutting through properly. I should have perhaps tested that before I went ahead and cut a whole batch of them, but I've made a few more with the better cutting depth. Hey Pip, how's Pip doing? Is it time to go to work, or is it day off? Let's get rid of that dormer for now because it's not stuck down. I was just seeing how it looked. I want to try and do a separate video piece for fitting the dormer window, so I'm going to bide my time with putting that on. I want to paint all the tiles first and make it as complete looking as possible, and then do like a kind of hero shot of placing the dormer in place. That's my intention anyway. Just excuse the arm now as I just go behind. Like I said, my best option I think here is to just overlap. I did a little too many, but it's better doing that than not meeting up. Oh, you'd rather watch me than watching the sunrise? Well, that says a lot. Thanks, Pip. I made very quick progress with this, but it's slowed an awful lot this week because I just haven't had the energy. I won't say motivation because I am motivated, I just haven't had the energy to do it. Every time I sit down to try and do something, I've just got a feeling of tiredness sort of overwhelm me, so I just sat and watched movies really in an evening. It's not done any harm at all. I think I've needed a break. It's kind of felt like I've not done an awful lot this year, but I've created 3 massive projects. So it's quality, not quantity. That's how I'm looking at it. Sorry about the arm, it's just the way that it's working. Just stick that piece of card off camera. I need multiple cameras so you can see everything that I'm doing, but basically I'm trying with the little pieces of excess that I'm cutting off. I'm just making another small piece of tiling because I'm going to need to put a row of tiles on the little gable part around the corner. So I may as well make those as I'm going. Okay, Tim? Noisy dog in the background, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm just off camera doing this. Like I say, it's just too big to properly have everything in focus. So I think it's probably going to be another row after this, I think, just to finish it off, but we're almost at the apex now. Hello Leanne, long time no speak. I'm sorry I've just not been on this week, really. Just showing that I'm not actually doing nothing whilst I'm off camera. It's just down there. I'm just cutting out some more tiles. Only a few more to go. And then I'm going to have to cut the excess off, trim the excess on the ridge here where it's overlapping. That should give me an idea of whether I need another row or not, but I think this is the last one before the ridge tile. I think the ridge is just a simple bit of lead flashing. Looking at the photographs, it's like a white, silvery grey colour, so I'm assuming that's what it is. There's no real clear photographs of it, so it'll be a bit of guesstimation. There's been an awful lot of tiles on this row, just because they're quite small, so it takes a lot to cover the roof. Oops. Yeah, that's going to be the last row. I'm just gently come down with my knife now and just cut across the top of the former piece that I've put in. And when I put the ridge over, it'll overlap just enough. I don't know if you can see that. It's easier actually to cut away rather than towards. So if I just slice into it and until I can feel I've hit the card, and just very carefully cut my way along that line. I won't be able to put the ridge in place until I've got the other side tiled. What I plan on doing the other side is tiling it off the roof, if you see what I mean. I'll make the full thing as a unit, and then I'll place it all as one rather than tiling direct to the roof. And with this side I had to do it this way because of all the dormers and turrets that were in the way. As usual, I'm contradicting myself and cutting the opposite direction now. I'm going to have to stand up when it comes to the turret part. There we go, that's trimmed off. That's a piece of masking tape foam as well. So I've pretty much got that bit done now. The next stage is going to be just marking on where I need to cut out the tiles for the dormers. I've done most of this on here, but I now need to, with a pencil, mark a line following the ridge line of the roof here where the lead flashing is going to be. So that line I've just marked in there, I'm going to cut out now with a scalpel. Now I can peel that off. That's going to be where the tile stops. Cut through enough. I might just change my blade. I think that's a really safer way of doing it. So I've got a brand new blade and we'll make sure we cut through properly. Thank you, Leanne. Looks good with the windows in, doesn't it? I've only done some of them, but once I get the dormers in on this side, it's going to look great, I think. I'm just biding my time with construction. I'm going to make this bit more or less complete and then move my way around. I've still got a section to do around this side. Well, I've still got lots of sections to do, but I'm going to try and complete different sections as I go, rather than having the whole thing to come back and paint. I realised when I first put a layer of paint on for the flashing that it was a bit too pale, so I'm going to recolour that, because that grey that you can just see there is going to be the grey of the tiles, and the flashing is a lot lighter. So I need to get a lighter colour for that. It's not actually going to be seen that bit, but we'll take it off anyway. Right, so we've just got a pale grey here. Can we see there? Citadel Administratum Grey. I'm going to use that for the lead flashing section. I just need to find a suitable brush. Actually, that one would be better. Okay, so I'm just going to paint the flashing section of this bit, so it's a lot paler than it was. In fact, I think it still might be a little on the dark side for what I want. I need to try and find a slightly lighter grey. This one might be better. It's not much lighter, but it is. This one's Citadel Celestra Grey. It's a slightly lighter version. Just needs a stir. I'm sorry for all the rattling I keep getting up, and the chair groans when I move. At least I think this is going to be a decent grey. It's still looking fairly similar. I just rubbed a bit on my hand. I think that's right. Yeah, we'll go with this one. I can always come back and go with an even lighter grey if it requires it. I've got all the other ones to do. I just really want to see what this grey looks like first. And I think really that wants painting as well, because that's much lighter in reality. Hello Riley, how's Riley this evening? You being good for your Auntie Leah? Okay, so I've jumped to painting this, and really I should be marking out where the other dormers need trimming. It all needs painting anyway. You're watching the new Godzilla. Is that Godzilla -1? I watched that the other night. He spoke over me. Godzilla -1. I was saying I watched that the other night. You off, Pip? Okay, catch you later. I'll try and post into the Discord group any progress I make, if any. I enjoyed it. Then went and watched Kong Skull Island, and I was about 3/4 of the way through it before I realised I'd seen it before. I was like, oh well, never mind. Right, I'm just going to finish. Oh, I'm just going to stop there. I've got a lot more lead flashing to do. Sorry about hitting the camera. Just wash the brush. I could really do with drying that so I don't lean on it. I don't know how it happens, but I always end up with a massive tangle of wires. So I'm just trying to detangle my hairdryer cable. I nearly got it, don't worry. Right, so just bear with me a minute for a bit of hair drying. I've got two smaller gables to adjust. Just need to make sure these are positioned correctly, so I'll put that back on for the minute. That's that one's exact position. I just need to trim a little bit to the outside of there. That's as it is there. It's just a little bit on the outside. Then same on this one. Except I've just now forgotten where it was it there? That's it, I think. That bit needs gluing back down again, quite obviously. There we go. I'll get some super glue on that later. Which colour was I using now? Celeste. Let's just check there before. Stick it in. Just needs a bit more. Okay, that's going to be right. Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, enjoy your evening. Yeah. Thank you for coming. I shall be probably shooting off myself within the next hour, any time in the next hour. Because my son will be finishing work and I'll have to cook him some tea. Did I check that one? Did I double check that one? Yeah, we're good there now. Right, that's the bit of flashing done on there now. And now I just want to paint the tops of these with the same grey. So these roof tops are actually like with pieces of lead. It's quite pale looking as well. So I'll just paint each of those first. Now these stone caps across the top have also been leaded, so I shall need to add a bit of tape onto there to act as the flashing, the leading, and paint that accordingly. Just rinse my brush. I don't know if you actually saw that, but those are those two. So I'll just dry those first, and then I'm going to add those bits of tape on that I just mentioned. to use some regular masking tape. I'm going to add the lead to the tops of these. It's just got a nice texture to it. And I'll just trim the excess off. I think maybe once I've done it, just to make sure it's secure, I'll just paint a bit of glue underneath as well, just to help it stick in place. Sorry if my hand keeps going off camera. Just bend it down a bit. Just going to use the table now to help me trim. A bit of super glue underneath. I'll stop it peeling off. Wait for that to fully cure. And I'll trim the excess off. Right, now, whilst I'm waiting for that to fully glue, before I stick it down, I'm going to just paint the sides of the tiles. Although, having said that, I've just realised I really need to cap this bit off as well, in the same manner. This has a nice little detail which I've not got around to doing yet, but it has on top of it a little barrel design to represent the winemaking history of the house. So I think they actually made the wine barrels around here for the winemaking. So this little dormer window here, right on the crest of that bit of stonework, it has a little barrel design, which I haven't made yet, but I'm going to make that possibly out of clay. I haven't decided yet. But like the other ones, it has some protective lead flashing or lead work just to protect the tops of the stone from the weather. It has a similar one on the bottom there. They need painting grey as well. I do actually need to put some more on the other ones as well. As I keep going, I keep finding things that I haven't yet done. I need to do. So we'll just trim that off. I'm just going to hold this upside down off camera just to trim on a solid edge. It's going dark, isn't it? I've lived with the daylight for so long, and I think now it's time to put some lights on. Just stick that up there for a minute. Oh, I just stabbed myself. Don't stab yourself, Lee. Hurts. And he gets blood everywhere. So, like the other side, I'll just glue some, so I smear some super glue with this spare bit of stick. Tape on it. Sorry, I'm gluing a piece of tape on it off camera. More fingers, don't know what I'm doing. Put a light on, is that any better? Hello Georgia, how are you doing? You had a nice Saturday?